Hey, we're ready to continue on with Tennessee. We'll ask Coach Barnes for some general thoughts on the game. Then we'll take your questions just for Admiral, and then excuse him back to the locker room, and then finish with Coach Barnes. Coach, would you begin?
Well, I'm really proud of our team. I thought they played their hearts out today, and didn't have a great day shooting the ball, but had to fight through some foul trouble. But in the end, I just thought our guys, there wasn't a time I didn't think they competed. And, you know, Georgia, I've said before, I think they're an NCAA-worthy team. I think that their experience, they've been around, they've played, and at the end of the game, we knew what they were going to do in terms of who they were going to play through. But overall, I thought our guys defended well enough, and we finally, without Grant in the game early where we wanted to establish something inside, we were searching offensively, but just with our determination and again, I just thought we played hard enough, and Admiral got a great look at it at the end, and believe me, if we could run that again and get that same look, we'd do it every single time. There's nobody on our team that works any harder in the gym, working on, I mean, he's a shooter, he's proven he's never been afraid to take that shot. We came down the last possession saying, hey, we can drive it and get a two, we will. If not, keep probing, and we're going to take the best shot we can get. And we probably turned down one or two before that, but we ended up with him with a great look, and I hate it for him because, again, no one works any harder than him, but he'll get another chance in that situation. He'll knock it down for us.
If you have a question for Admiral, raise your hand, and we'll get a floor microphone to you. Hands up. Questions for Admiral. Hands up. Anyone? All right, let's go to the far left.
Excuse me, Admiral, if you could just describe that last sequence where you got the shot and just what was kind of happening. It looked like it was a little scramble there, a little disorganization.
Well, basically, Coach drew up in the timeout that, you know, we run a side ball screen. We spread the floor, and we got a couple of looks to go to the basket, but, you know, Georgia was great on defense and covering that up. So, you know, we tried to work the ball around a little bit. We had a lot of time on the clock. We had a couple looks that we turned down, and the ball got back to Jordan Bone. We set a middle ball screen. Jordan Bone drew about 3 defenders, my defender included, and he was great recognizing that, and he kicked it out to me, and just got to knock that shot down. Like Coach said, I work on it, you know, often, and, you know, it was a great look. It's what we were looking for. We were looking to go for the win.
All right, other questions for Admiral? Raise your hand. All right, let's go to the right on the aisle.
Admiral, you obviously went 2 for 9 from the field, but what do you feel like as a team? Why wasn't the ball falling for you guys today?
You know, that's just how basketball goes. Sometimes that, you know, the shots are falling, sometimes they're not. And, you know, you just, at the end of the day, you got to keep competing at a high level, and you got to keep going out and, you know, believing in each other, trying to get easy looks. And tonight, you know, it's just even layups wouldn't even go in, even for both teams. It was just tough shooting night for us. We're usually a high-volume shooting team. We make a lot of shots, and the biggest thing for us is, though, I believe that we competed as hard as we could. The ball just didn't go in, and one of our rules is we're not going to change how we, you know, compete on the defensive end or the offensive end. We just got to keep shooting, it'll fall, and it just didn't fall.
Other questions for Admiral? Hands up. Anyone? All right, Admiral, you can return to the locker room. Thank you for coming. And we'll continue with Coach Barnes. Hands up. Questions for Coach Barnes? Start right here on the aisle in the front.
Coach, at the end of the game, Robert was on the bench. Was that just health? I mean, the knees?
I mean, you guys watched it. He was struggling. And I've said before, the last 4 weeks, he's had to nurse the knee, and he didn't have it, and so we felt like that's what we needed to go with. And but Robert's meant a lot to our program. He's, believe me, this year he's been as selfless as any player that I've coached. I mean, he's had a tough month to end the season, but he stayed with it for us.
Do you have a question? Okay, let's get the one on the left, then we'll come right back to the front.
Rick, you talked a lot about handling expectations this year. There'll probably be more to start next season based on what you guys did this year. How do you handle it better from the jump next year?
Well, I hope there's a whole lot more expectations starting next year. I mean, You know, we ended the game, I think, today with 4 freshmen and a sophomore on the court. And what was, from the fact if you could been in the locker room, you would see how heartbroken they were that they didn't win. And the lesson is how quickly this ends. And then we'll get together again and we'll go back and evaluate it, everything that we've done this year. But we want expectations. I mean, we want expectations around our program. We should, again, that's what we want. And but the fact is, so much for this group this year was a learning experience, and they created some of those expectations. And like I've said before, we didn't handle them. But I can tell you this: the last 3 halves that we've played, we played like a team that knew what it takes to play at this level. And you know, you got to give Georgia credit. I mean, they've got their seniors. I mean, you know, Maton came back today and was a factor. You know, Frazier, you look at those guys, that's who they played through, and that's what you expect from a senior team with guys who've been around. And we're going to get to that eventually. But again, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to getting started right now because I know we're going to add some more pieces to our program. We're going to have a different look, but we know that we've got it going in the right direction.
Okay, question in front. Go ahead, Mike.
Rick, today was another case here in February and March where instead of being in the 70s or 80s like you all were so many times earlier, you're in the 50s. What combination of factors is that?
I think 2 teams really guarding. I think that when you get into postseason play, I do think that the defenses just take it to another level. And when you go back, when we didn't play as well against these guys, when they beat us in Knoxville and South Carolina, we weren't as good defensively, and they were better. And I think today you saw 2 teams that were really fighting each other, not giving up any ground on the defensive end, and so that has a lot to do with it. And with us early, I did feel like we had some guys that were tentative early, taking shots, and then you turn down a good shot. You think about how we started the game. You know, Robert missed a couple in there that we wanted, but a lot of it happened with Grant. I mean, you know, last game, we played through him a lot. He got himself in foul trouble early, and from that point, we were really scrambling to try to get the ball where we wanted it and doing something with it. And but again, I think both teams. I mean, you look at it in the second half, they shot the ball better than we did, but we got to get more consistent with our offense. There's no question about it, and that goes back to. At this time of year, I mean, you watch Georgia play all their games. They've pretty much had other than when they've had to patch it together, you know what they're going to do every time down the floor, and you kind of know what their players are going to do. We never got into that routine with this group, and you guys watched our guard play all year. It was very inconsistent. We've had to work with Robert's situation. Jordan Bowden was there. We've spent ever since the last game, last week and a half, working with Shambari at the point, and he didn't get to play today. And so we just never have been consistent with our offensive rhythm, and we've got to get that.
Is there a question on the left? Go ahead.
Rick, were y'all able to see any review on that call where the ball went out of bounds off Bone? It looked like that was a bang call and maybe a reviewable one in that situation. Did y'all ask for a review or anything?
No, I think he said he was out of bounds with it. I mean, no, but that's what I think. He thought it was. I mean, I don't think he thought he needed to see it. You know, I'd have rather reviewed the verticality of calls if I could.
Question on the aisle on the left.
Rick, Jordan Bone today, he's kind of gone through his ups and downs in February, and he comes today and plays well offensively. Was it a good sign to see him play and make an impact the way he did?
Yeah, you know what, Jordan, I've told him, I said, you're going to have to earn it. And, he's really had a couple good days of practice, which that's where it all starts. And his biggest thing he has to understand is, you can't get tired really playing this game. I mean, the best players that I've been around, they don't get tired. And that's been one of the biggest things he's had to learn to fight through this year, how to fight through fatigue, both mentally and physically. And believe me, he has improved tenfold. If you go back to where we started in the fall, in the spring, even the summer. But I think he's shown us all at times he has the ability. Now it's up to us to get him to understand the game. He's got to also let it go. He's got to let things go. Like when he on that out of bounds play, he wanted to keep rehashing it. At that point in time, you can't. You got to get on to the next play. But it's been a learning experience for him. I mean, he missed 9 games at the worst possible time you could miss them, but he has shown us enough, and I expect him to come back, and I expect them all to come back and be much better players than they are right now.
We have time for one more question. Anyone? Oh, there, I see you. Okay, go ahead. Take it on the right.
Coach, Jordan Bone and Lamonte Turner, obviously probably your only 2 guys who were hot on the floor tonight or shot well. Was there any thought of getting them the ball on that final possession?
They had the ball. They had it. I mean, we were going to spread the floor, and we told them, hey, if you can come off the screen and go score it. And then, they all touched it. But, again, in that situation, we didn't have to settle for a 3. We were wanting to spread the floor and get down the hill if we could, but if not, and again, that's where I think both of them should have been more aggressive. I think they should have, got into crack and as opposed to playing vertical. But that's one of the reasons we haven't ran a lot of ball screens all year, because they have refused to create that contact that you need. But even with all that said and done, believe me, if we could have ran a play, you'd like to be able to shoot a little bit sooner to maybe have a second chance to rebound it. But we got a great look at it, and it was it'd been a great way to win it. But the fact is, we wanted to be aggressive, and I again, both of them I know touched the ball in the last possession, and I thought Jordan Bone should have come off more aggressive. He was looking to pass it, where I thought he should have, with his speed, could have gotten down the lane like he actually did one time, and he's got to learn to use his speed. And Lamonte still trying to figure out what's a good shot and when to shoot it, when not. But he should know that by now. But at least he's not afraid to shoot the ball. And I thought a couple guys today, like I said, were a little bit hesitant.
Thank you.
All right, thank you guys.